right, so we're ready for our next recipe in our tribute to Dr. George Washington Carver and his fabulous recipes. He had quite a few fabulous recipes. And this is sweet potato and peanut butter muffins that I'm going to prepare. And I'm using sweet potatoes that have been baked and peanut butter. And I love the quote that I found when I was doing research on Dr. Carver about what he said about the proper way to prepare sweet potatoes. So this is what he said. The delicate flavor of a sweet potato is lost if it is not cooked properly. Steaming develops and preserves the flavor better than boiling, and baking much better than steaming. A sweet potato cooked quickly is not well cooked. Time is an essential element. 20 minutes may serve to bake a sweet potato so that a hungry man can eat it, but if the flavor is an object, it should be kept in the oven for an hour. So these sweet potatoes that we're going to use in this particular recipe have been kept in the oven for an hour to fully develop their fabulous flavor, and they're the basis of this wonderful recipe. Now, sweet potatoes are really good for diabetics because what it does is stabilize your blood sugar level and lowers your insulin resistance. So if you're diabetic, you really might want to consider incorporating sweet potatoes into your diet. They're very, very good. So I'm going to just put this in here, get this started. This is my baked sweet potatoes according to the Carver method. And my peanut butter is going in here. And I'm using organic peanut butter in this particular recipe, but you can use, whatever you prefer. I'm just using a natural peanut butter. I noticed that when I use natural peanut butter, there's not as much oil and not as much sugar, so it won't throw my recipe off. All right, so we're going to combine these two. Okay. And then we're going to put in some orange zest, and orange zest is really, really easy. You basically are just taking the outer skin of the orange. So we're going to use this. Okay. Put that in there. And we're going to put in a little bit of oil. And as I said, this is an adaptation of two recipes that Dr. Carver had published in his bulletins. He did bulletins all year long that were published by the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, that he would send out, or people could write in and request, a bulletin on sweet potatoes or a bulletin on tomatoes, or he also had one on peanuts. And they could take that information and that would be their guide to growing the sweet potato, the tomato, and the peanuts. He also had lots of information that he published on soybeans. So he was just a man who really devoted his life into bettering the lives of other people. And a man you can really pattern after if you are pursuing a career that he so unselfishly tried to find ways to save the Southern economy. So we've got those all combined, and that's the basis of our sweet potato and peanut butter muffins. So now we're going to put in our dry ingredients. So I'm going to set this off to one side and get our dry ingredients. I'm using whole wheat pastry flour. We're using our baking powder and our salt in there. And we're just going to take a little fork and just kind of combine these real quickly. All right, so for our wet ingredients, I'm using vanilla soy milk, which is my all-time favorite in baking. So I've got my vanilla soy milk. I've got my honey, and this is honey from a local organic farm here called Boggy Creek. You know the diva got some, because I love locally grown honey. All right, so next we're going to add our already beaten egg to this, and our brown sugar. And a lot of times in recipes, sugar is considered a liquid, so because it does liquefy, so it's considered a liquid. So we're adding that to our wet ingredients. Just mix that up here. All right. So I'm going to add a little bit of my dry ingredients and then a little bit of the wet and just keep alternating back and forth until we get this all incorporated. Got a little dry. Okay, so we got this pretty well mixed in, so we're going to add a little of the wet ingredients. And this mixes up really, really fast. Okay, so these are all incorporated and blended. All our wet ingredients and all our dry ingredients are all put together. So the only thing left to do is to put them in these muffin tins. So this makes 24 muffins. So it doesn't look like it's a lot of batter, but it's a lot of batter. And we're just going to put it halfway up. And it's kind of thick because it's got those sweet potatoes and the peanut butter in there. So I'm going to finish this up, pop this in the oven. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have our fabulous sweet potato and peanut butter muffins to show you. So stay with me. So here is the fantastic finished results of our sweet potato and peanut butter muffins. And they are just golden, beautiful, and I think delicious, but I'm going to taste them in a minute just to be sure. So do try this wonderful recipe, which was inspired by Dr. George Washington Carver. It's delicious. Mm.